people always say to me, it is so good to shop in Japan because you'll definitely not buy a fake. But like, look guys, like this is a Japanese seller, so I'm just a little bit confused by this. I guess that going forward into like the next 20 years, we'll see a lot more metal plate Chanel bags on the market, and yeah, there's going to be less of that problem of getting those tampered stickers on your bags. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. If you love shopping and handbag videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. So I always hear a common thread of people saying that it is really safe to shop in Japan because they have very strict laws on selling fake bags, and that if you are looking to buy a vintage bag, you should look at Japanese sellers on eBay or go to Japan and go to some of the stores there and pick up something special because authenticity is always guaranteed. And there have been a few things that I've encountered this last week which have made me really question whether it is truly safe to shop in Japan with 100% confidence and whether it is always the right thing to do. So the reason why Japan is very popular for the pre-loved market is because there are lots of pre-loved stores that have amazing inventory. They have extremely rare pieces and exclusive designer bags from the 90s and the 2000s or even the 80s. And a lot of people who collect particularly vintage Chanel and Hermes go to the stores that are located in Japan because they have the rarest bags in the world, and some of these bags are in immaculate condition and have been so well preserved. The reason why a lot of bags in Japan are so well preserved is, I don't know, it seems like people kind of look after their things more in Japan, and perhaps there is many people who just collect the bags and don't really use them. And I know there is a culture to buy new things all the time, so they might buy a bag and then sell it on after only a short time of having it. And so there is a fast kind of paced consumption of designer goods in Japan, particularly in the 80s and 90s. This is where Japan got some of the best bags ever made. I actually read an article written by Zico, who is an authenticator of Chanel bags. In her article, she stated that during the 80s and 90s, Chanel became really popular in Japan because of celebrities, and they were influenced by, I don't know, commercials, and they wanted these European brands. And so Chanel would actually make sure that the bags they sent to Japan were some of the best quality bags and some of the most exclusive bags, because Japanese people tend to be very particular on quality and just the detail of bags, whereas I mean this is just a statement. Apparently the European market and US market are not as particular with quality of bags. So actually the quality of bags that were sent to Japan were amazing. They got really exclusive styles, and if you look at some of the some of my favorite vintage stores I like to look through, they just have amazing pristine collections of things from Chanel 1995 runway, or even the Louis Vuitton Murakami collection, just things that weren't even available in the US market. And that's why it's really popular to shop in Japan, because you can find bags that you can't find anywhere else. Now, in Zico's article, she went through a bit of a issue that she has recently noticed on some vintage Chanel bags, and that is that she noticed that on a particular resellers page, which was a Japanese reseller in Japan or consignment store, or just like, a vintage store, they're one of the big ones, has a massive inventory of vintage Chanel bags. And, it's crazy that some of these vintage Chanel bags are still in immaculate condition, given they're, 30 years old or whatever. But she actually found that some of these Chanel bags had been tampered with, and the stickers inside the bags weren't right for that particular bag. And it is said that a lot of these sellers are making the lining of the bag to freshen it up, because over time the lining of a bag can naturally deteriorate, and it's really crazy that some of these vintage bags are kept so well. It is said that some of these vintage bags have had the lining replaced, and so they've taken a sticker from an SLG or some other Chanel item and they've stuck it on the bag. If you're a Chanel collector, you know that bags, when they had the stickers, it was important for the bag to have the sticker because this helped you authenticate the bag. This made it look like it was in more original condition, and it just added a lot more value to the bag if it had a sticker. And when bags don't have a sticker, they're either from the 80s, which is normal because they only had stickers, I think, in the 90s or beyond then. If it didn't have a sticker, well, it's harder to authenticate. And, well, basically, some of these Japanese sellers are kind of zhuzhing up the bags, like whether it's changing the hardware or changing the lining, making them look like pristine vintage bags and selling them for the price of a really rare vintage bag, whereas really this bag could have been at really junk condition on the inside, only worth like a few $1,000s, and they've made it worth several thousands of dollars more by restoring the bag and adding a sticker. And this is super deceptive because sometimes when you tamper with a bag so much, you can argue that it's kind of a Frankenstein bag at this point. It's kind of half real, half fake. I'd say, given if you completely replace the lining of a bag and add a different sticker to it, at that point it's kind of lost the integrity of the authenticity of that Chanel item, and you can no longer sell it as 100% authentic, although it's made up of real authentic parts. So in that case, some Chanel sellers from Japan are selling fake bags, and this is an issue because it's very hard to detect, because to an untrained eye you might just look at a sticker and think, oh yeah, that's a vintage sticker. You might not be able to pinpoint what year that's from or whatever. They even go down to some of the gold stamping. They will replicate that in the bag. And Zico mentioned that some of them, some of the Chanel stamps have the R on it, and only certain years would have this R, and sometimes they miss out on those fine details, which makes her be able to tell whether it's been tampered with or not. For some reason, Chanel bags resell for more when they have a burgundy lining as well. And some of these resellers will change out the black lining of a bag and make it burgundy because they know that will make the value higher. And this is, really deceptive because they don't state that the bag has been worked on. I guess my point is that you can't completely trust Japan resellers. And I most certainly have heard this happening with Hermes bags as well, where they've been sparred on to the point where they're no longer authentic. And some of these vintage Hermes bags that you can get from Japan, you might take it to the Hermes bag spa one day and they might not be able to service it because they will tell you that the handle is fake or something like that. And when you're subbing out like complete parts of the bag, it is not the best. I would do it if you're saving money. Like, honestly, if you just want to wear the bag and enjoy it, sure, like, alter your bag like that. But if you're a seller and not telling the customer that you've altered the bag and pretending it's a pristine condition vintage, then they're ripping you off there, because it wouldn't be worth anywhere as near as much if the customer knew that it was being messed with. So there's that issue. I'm just editing my video and I forgot to add something about, these days we don't actually have stickers in Chanel bags. Chanel phased out stickers like a year or two ago now, and now they have microchips, which they're actually just metal plates, guys. So a lot of people say that the little metal plates in the Chanel bags, the new ones, are microchips that you can scan, but they're not. There is no technology in the metal plates in these Chanel bags. That is also not a way for us to authenticate a bag because, they are not scannable. It's not like Louis Vuitton, who can scan their bags to determine whether they're real or fake. The metal plates in Chanel bags, it's not scannable. So they can also be easily faked. But the difference with those is, I suppose they won't fall off as easily as the stickers. I guess that going forward into like the next 20 years, we'll see a lot more metal plate Chanel bags on the market, and there's going to be less of that problem of getting those tampered stickers on your bags. But just wanted to let you know about that. But this morning I found myself scrolling on eBay, typical, and I came across this Japanese seller, and they are located in Japan, and I came across this Preloved bag, which I was shocked at the price because I thought it was a really good price. Now, this seller had like 98% feedback. They had a lot of other vintage bags on their eBay store as well. And this Preloved really struck me because as soon as I saw it, I thought it was fake, but I was doubting myself because I'm like, well, this is a Japanese seller, right? So it should be authentic. And looking upon all the reviews, it seemed legit. And then looking at their other bags too, I was like, well, these all seem vintage, so why is this Believed so cheap? But I really zoomed in on some of the details, like the hardware looked too shiny, the leather looked completely like not Clermont leather, which is usually what a Believed would be. It just looks like kind of that fake Birkin rubbery leather. I also noticed that at the bottom of the bag, the feet were wrapped with like sticky tape or paper, which is not usually what you'd see on a genuine bag. And also some of the packaging definitely looked fake, in the way that the straps were wrapped inside the bag. It definitely looked fake to me, and it's obviously a fake, but I was just confused because this is a Japanese seller, so how can they get away with selling fakes if they have such strict laws? And then I went on their page and I noticed they had a lot of other vintage bags as well, but then I also noticed they had a mini Kelly for like $700, which that is impossible. You will never find a genuine mini Kelly for that much, so this definitely confirmed to me that the Believed was fake. But I don't know if some eBay stores are pretending they're located in Japan to look like they're selling authentic bags, and they're selling a mix of like junk bags with real bags. That could be an eBay scam that's happening at the moment, because I know the laws in Japan are really strict, so if they got caught selling fakes, it would be really bad. So I don't know exactly what the consequence is, but from what I've heard, people always say to me, it is so good to shop in Japan because you'll definitely not buy a fake. But like, look guys, like this is a Japanese seller, so I'm just a little bit confused by this. Another thing I would be aware of when shopping on Japanese sellers is that sometimes you're not going to get a perfect condition bag. Like even with Hermes, sometimes you'll see something is a really good price, but the condition might not be good. Like it might have mold, it might have deterioration. And even if it is an Hermes bag, I really don't think it's worth it if it's really gone too far. And in terms of Chanel bags, they tend to deteriorate faster from what I've seen than Hermes bags. I don't know why this is, but it's getting harder to find pristine, completely authentic Chanel bags from the 90s. Usually you'll see the interior of the bag is disintegrating, like the quilts are depuffing, the patent leather, like if it's like a patent vanity, it could be discoloring. And some of these Chanel bags are really, really hard to preserve. So yeah, I'm not saying to stop shopping on the Japanese market. I'm just saying to be wary and to know what to look for, and just to, if you're going to buy a bag, understand that year that bag is coming from, understand what the lining should look like, what the stamping should look like, and also get it authenticated. I think Zico is a really good person to go to for authentication for Chanel, because she's studied it for so long and she can pick up on these really minor details, unlike most other people. And certainly I think she has a better eye than like an AI device like Entropy or something. So yeah, I just thought I'd talk about that today. And have you accidentally bought a fake bag from Japan? Let me know whether it was something that was completely tampered with or it was straight up a fake bag. Because yeah, I've always had confidence in Japan, but yeah, I mean, some of these latest things I've been hearing, it makes me a little bit more wary. So anyway, thanks for listening to my video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Bye!